You're plastic. Cold, shiny, hard plastic.
Bottled water can be trendy, handy, convenient, and sometimes a necessity. But just wait till you hear about these 10 dark secrets you didn't know about bottled water.
No, you cannot joke about that.
Expiration dates.
Best before this date. After this date, not the best.
Generally, expiration dates are a good thing. You want to know when the beef or chicken in your fridge expires because eating bad meat can make you very sick. Also, there are food items that might not show their age as well as others, so having a sense of when they go bad can also help avoid any unfortunate stomach aches or more serious problems. But what about water? Well, if the bottled water companies are to be believed, water expires in 2 years or less.
I can't imagine why!
Brands such as FIJI, Aquafina, and Poland Springs all sport 2-year expiration dates from the date they were bottled, while Dasani gives consumers 1 year from the bottling date before expiration. But then there are the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Red Cross, who urge people to replace their stockpiles of bottled water every 6 months. So who's right? Well, the answer is probably none of them. There doesn't appear to be any evidence that drinking expired water has any negative health effects at all. And in fact, the Food and Drug Administration has said that bottled water has an indefinite shelf life. So it would appear that expiration dates are just another way for the bottled water companies to get you to buy more water.
Let's get you up. Here, have some smart water. What did they do to you?
It takes water to make water.
Humans have created over 8 billion tons of plastic.
This is one of those things you probably haven't even thought about, but once you hear it, not thinking about it will be hard. It also sounds like one of those random facts that the kid from Jerry Maguire would have told Tom Cruise, along with the fact that the human head weighs 8 pounds.
Jerry, do you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Although the accuracy of that one is debatable. So the deal here is that it actually takes more water to make a bottle of water than it does to fill said bottle. It's called a water footprint, and it's important because wasting water is not planet-friendly, and wasting water just to make a bottle for the water seems even more ridiculous. According to the bottled water companies, it takes 1.39 liters of water to make a bottle for the water. But according to some, that isn't even half the footprint that needs to be considered because there is a much more to the process of getting that bottle of water onto store shelves. That 1.39 liters doesn't take into account the fresh water used in creating the packaging, for example. Some studies and watch groups suggest that when taking the entire process into account, the actual number is closer to 3 liters of water used. That's a big water footprint to make something that most of us can get cleanly, safely, and for free from our taps, and seems rather hard to justify.
Now let's take a moment to think about how much plastic that is.
It doesn't actually taste better.
That's good.
People give a lot of reasons why they still drink bottled water, and one of the most popular answers to that question is that it just tastes better than tap water. But does it really? Well, according to blind taste tests, it doesn't. In fact, in these blind taste tests, more than half the people couldn't tell the difference between the bottled and the tap water. Now, sure, there are exceptions, and the age and quality of your pipes can affect the minerals found in your tap water, and as such, the taste. And we've all been to cities where the water really does taste awful.
You're probably right.
Really? Because I literally just said the same thing.
But many of us have also tried some pretty nasty-tasting bottled water as well. The point is that all things being equal, in general, standard tap water and standard bottled water pretty much taste the same to most people. Yet another reason to stop buying bottled water, and maybe invest in a water filter of some sort instead.
That's a lot of information to get in 30 seconds.
FIJI Water.
FIJI Water is a gift from nature to us.
If you ask most people what the best bottled water is, they would probably say FIJI Water. Those rectangle bottles with the flower logo and the clean reputation have become America's leading imported bottled water. But here is what you probably didn't know about it. FIJI Water actually does come from Fiji. In fact, the company that imports it has a 99-year lease and almost exclusive access to an aquifer on the island from which they get the water. What this means is that we can buy this water in bottles at the store, but the people of Fiji can't access it. So while we are quenching our thirst, the people on the island from which the water is taken are dealing with droughts, crumbling pipes, and other issues that could be helped with access to the aquifer. And maybe even more shocking is the fact that Fiji water isn't as perfectly clean as they would have you believe.
What?
The Cleveland Water Department did some tests on this classiest of bottled water, and the results are not going to leave the company bragging. The results of the CWD tests found that the Fiji water contained more arsenic and other contaminants than regular Cleveland tap water. But we are pretty sure that a bottle with a picture of the Cleveland skyline probably still wouldn't sell as well as the one with the flower and the ocean.
Yes, it's real.
Look out for mold.
This is mold.
We're all pretty good at spotting mold on bread and cheese and even various fruits that have been sitting in our fridge for a little too long. But did you know that bottled water can have mold as well? Not only does this sound kind of gross, but while it's generally easy to spot the stuff on our food and throw it out before we take a bite, when it comes to bottled water, it's not so easy. But that doesn't mean it isn't there.
No, they will cost you your life.
Elaborate.
In fact, in 2017, the FDA released a consumer alert in regards to Comfort's for Babies purified water with fluoride added, warning people that the water had been recalled because of mold. Even the Kroger supermarket chain tested the water after they had complaints from a bunch of customers. Their tests found the water to contain Talaromyces penicillium, which is a mold that can cause allergic reactions and fever symptoms if it's touched or inhaled. Two things you do when you drink it, of course. The study recommended more frequent filter changes in the plants to counteract this warm month issue, but who knows if those recommendations were taken into account.
Dirty little liar. I'm sorry, I can explain.
Air pollution.
Hey friends, do you like what we see here? Air pollution.
So while bottled water causes many environmental problems, you probably didn't think that air pollution was one of them. Well, it is. So here's the deal. The phthalates that are added to the plastics leave traces which can be found in the water in those bottles. Now, while it is said that there isn't enough in the water to be a problem for consumers, that doesn't take into account the amount that gets into the air we breathe in a process called off-gassing. You know that chemical scent you often smell when you get a new shower curtain, for example? That smell is the plastic chemicals off-gassing during the manufacturing process at these petrochemical plants. Well, when these phthalates off-gas into the air, people who live around water bottling plants have reported a number of health issues, including respiratory ones.
So Dasani's not only good for you, it's good for the environment, too.
There is no way that our need to buy a bottle of water from the corner store is worth the toxic pain the process can cause on other human beings, especially those who might not ever drink the stuff. All because they happen to live near a plant making the plastic bottles. Yes, some companies are now making cardboard cartons for water, which does eliminate at least a few of these problems, but not all of them.
I've made a lot of questionable choices.
It's often just tap water.
Really good.
What is this, tap?
Yes, it is.
So what if, even after hearing everything we've said so far, you still want to drink bottled water because you think it's so much better than tap water and worth paying the extra price? Well, according to the numbers, the odds are you're actually just drinking tap water anyway. You're just doing it out of a plastic bottle. Back in 2018, when bottled water companies were making upwards of $16 billion in the United States alone, there was a study done by Food and Water Watch which detailed the truth. 64% of bottled water comes from a municipal tap water source.
No filter?
No filter, tap water.
Just think about that number for a second. That means that the majority of the water in bottles sold to consumers is water that would otherwise be free or almost free for those same consumers. Water that could have been used by thousands of households per year.
Sorry, can we have 4 of those and a tap water, please?
What?
Lots of plastic bottles.
I want to ruin my makeup.
fine.
The truth is, lots doesn't actually do justice to the number of plastic bottles being produced and thrown away every day around the world. We all know that the number is high, but do you know how high? Allow us to break it down for you. First off, there are 1 million plastic bottles bought every day all over this planet. Breaking it down even further, that makes for over 40,000 bottles every hour, and that number is expected to go up by 20% by the end of 2021, and that means over 500 billion bottles a year. So what's the big deal, you ask? You recycle the bottles, many people do, so everything is cool, right? Wrong.
I gotta admit, I'm getting kind of confused.
Oh my god, me too.
The problem is that most people don't, and even with the ones that do get recycled, the number of plastic bottles being bought and thrown into recycling bins is just too much for recycling efforts to keep up with, which means more and more bottles end up in the oceans and polluting the coastlines. Which is ironic in a way. The water we are drinking is causing major pollution in the other waters on our planet. Recycling is good and important, but we also need to slow our roll with all the bottled water and, more importantly, the plastic bottles it comes in. There are some studies that suggest that by 2050, there could be more plastic bottles in our ocean than fish.
Yeah, that's not funny, Arthur. That's not the kind of humor we do on this show.
E. coli.
Today, I will talk to you about Escherichia coli or E. coli.
When you hear E. coli, you probably think of food products, right? Well, most of us do. But as it turns out, you also now have to think about bottled water. Yes, it's true. Bottled water can be contaminated with bacteria such as E. coli, and it isn't just a theory, it's a fact. And the fact is that a government report back in 2018 determined that Sweet Springs Valley Water had, at one point, bottled and distributed water from a source that was found to be contaminated with E. coli bacteria. And even worse than that, the company didn't do anything about it when they found out. They didn't stop production or do follow-up tests on the source. And if you think that was just a one-off problem, think again. In 2015, there were 14 different bottled water brands that had to be recalled when the company that supplied the water to those brands discovered that their spring water source had tested positive for E. coli. Drinking water is very good for you, and we don't want this to discourage you from drinking it. However, where you get it from, well, maybe that should change. Tap water with a good filtration system is probably the best option for most people, since it doesn't seem like the bottled water companies care as much about our health as they should.
I'm Jen Aniston, and I'm here to talk to you about smart water.
Chemicals and carcinogens.
It's not healthy!
If the thought of mold in your bottle of water freaks you out, then what about the idea that your bottled water could be laced with various chemicals and carcinogens? Well, it's true. In a recent study done back in 2018, the Water Research Journal concluded that phthalates are often found in bottled water. Phthalates are substances that are added to plastics, and they can be associated with such things as an increased risk of cancer. The study looked at 5 different phthalates in bottled water across 21 different countries, and the good news is that they determined that the amounts present were not a concern to the public health.
Wow, just complete cellular decay.
Although, if we're being honest, knowing that they are in our bottled water in any amount doesn't feel too reassuring. And what about all those trihalomethanes, such as chloroform and bromoform? According to a 2008 report, these carcinogenic chemicals were found in 5 brands of bottled water and in levels higher than the industry itself had deemed acceptable. Then there was the bromate issue with the Deep Rock Water Company. In 2011, an inspector fined the company after discovering twice the legal limit of the carcinogen in their water. The fact that they found it and cited the company is good. However, they never followed up or took samples to make sure that the issue was cleared up. And a recall was never issued either.
Why did I do that?
Quench that thirst with another great video. Just tap or click and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to join our notification squad.